Welcome, people in TV land, to the first ever in-house TV2 class discussion of The Batman. The Batman released how many weeks ago? 3?
Probably like 2 or 3.
A while.
Yeah.
Released in mid-March.
Yeah. So we have ardent fans here at TV2 of all things current films, mostly Marvel, but this is DC. So we decided, given all the hype for this film, we wanted to, and most of our students in our class had seen this film. We wanted to kind of do a little bit of a discussion, get everybody's take on it. Yours truly, I just saw the film this past weekend. Some of my students, several who will be speaking soon, 2 to my left, have seen it actually 3 times already.
Oh, just me.
3 times already.
Just
well,
me.
just him.
Just me.
3 times. Now, you know, the film has a runtime of 2 hours and 56 minutes. So that's like 9 hours of your life.
Yep.
And you've been to this film already.
Worth it.
Okay, so instant feedback around the table, starting with Sebastian. You liked it or you didn't like it?
I liked it. I think it was kind of long though.
Okay, Lucas, instant, go.
I loved it. It was probably one of my favorite superhero movies of recent times.
Of a recent time. Will Irwin, go.
Best recreation of the scenery I've seen out of the entire Batman, well, whatever movie. Yeah, franchise.
Of all, best recreation of what?
Just like the scenery.
Okay, like Gotham.
Best Gotham.
It's gross. It's random. It's perfect.
The Gotham, yeah, I think it's probably easily the best Gotham, but
It's
some people
polluted.
some people have
It's
said
a
that.
believable Jersey City.
You know, all Batman, the movie's very dark. Name me a Batman movie that actually is full of sunshine and light, though. Not too many. Even Batman '89, which we watched in here. How many scenes of sunshine are in that movie?
The Batman movie from the 60s.
That's different. That's different.
West.
You have to be happy.
You have to. Jalen Royal.
It was great. I mean, I kind of started falling asleep around like the hour mark.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I've thought about this. It's like, why are movies so long now? And like Marvel's kind of like the reason why, because it's like you have 2-hour movies of like all of this stuff. And I mean,
And then there's a part 2.
Yeah, then there's a part 2, right? But you know, I enjoyed it. I thought it was nice. I thought it, you know, as long as it was, it like gave you enough insight that you understood what was happening the whole time. So yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Lauren Carter.
I liked it up to like the hour and a half mark. It kind of got boring.
You didn't wait till from an hour and a half till the end of the movie you did not like it?
No, like up to like the hour, like
started
hour
to
and a half,
drag
and
a
then
little
started to drag on, and then like.
Interesting, because I thought the second half of the movie was way better than the first.
My
Yeah.
dad
Yeah.
kept on complaining the entire time I was watching it. So like, why is it always raining? No.
Well, that's
It's
the
the
bad
Gotham.
guy.
But at the
It's
same
not
time,
supposed
he
to
doesn't
be.
watch.
Gotham is not sunshine and rainbows.
Gotham is not sunshine and rainbows.
Very
Well,
red.
it's my dad.
And if it
never
was,
watched
it's an
it
alternate
again.
universe.
Very red.
It
Yeah.
is indeed.
Yes, we
Okay,
love our sunshine.
Frank, instant, quick feedback.
Be quick.
Yes,
I-
we're gonna come back, but
Yeah, no, I definitely loved every single second of it. Even the boring parts at in the first section, I enjoyed literally every single moment.
there wasn't one part where you were like, this wasn't good or anything?
There's some parts that I thought were worse than others, for sure, but I definitely, at the very least, liked every moment in the film.
Okay. Rounding out the instant feedback reaction, Jared Glickman.
Ooh, you guys saved best for last. I have a lot to say, but I'm going to say a bit right now. It was like, The Dark Knight was probably a better movie, but I think this is the best Batman movie I have ever seen. I enjoyed every second of it. It really nailed all the characters in my opinion, and I enjoyed every scene of it except for one towards the end that I will talk about.
Okay. All right, so that's our instant feedback on the film. Just about everybody enjoys it to varying levels of, enjoyment of success. Some more than others, clearly. For myself, I enjoyed the film. I think it's a very good film. I think it's a little too long, and I think to wait 2 hours to see the antagonist on screen was way too long. We needed to see, in my opinion, we needed to see Paul Dano as the Riddler, like about maybe 45 minutes into the film, on screen with the Batman, having some kind of, obviously not a fight, because that would be at the end, some kind of dialogue or conflict. And I get the mood of the film, like to me, except for the chase scenes, which were awesome, they were fantastic, I thought the whole film was like in slow motion. Parts of it, I really did. And I'm telling you, I went to a 2 o'clock showing, but like an hour and a half in, I was doing this. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Yeah.
Anybody else similar stuff?
Yeah, I was like slapping my wrist. Like,
When I first saw it, it was like 7 at night, and I was hooked the entire time. And
You
it
were
was on a
wired.
school
You
night
were
too.
wired. Now, listen, I will probably watch it again. I don't know if I'll go see it again, but I do want to watch it again because there's so much in a movie. I mean, these things require multiple viewings. I mean, any TV show or movie, there are shows and movies that you could watch 20 times and still pick up new things on. So obviously, it's still fresh in everybody's mind. Let's talk about some of the casting in the film, the roles of all the people. Who were some of your favorites? What were some of your favorite moments in between of the characters, dialogue, and so forth? Before we move on to like cinematography and Gotham as a kind of landscape. Frank, go ahead.
I think we should leave Pattinson. I think we should have a separate discussion on Pattinson as Batman, like in general.
No,
Like-
we're going to include it all in this.
All right,
We're going to include it all. This is a one-stop shop
leave it to
reaction
me.
video.
I think
Go ahead.
Pattinson was really, really good. I
Better
think
than Christian
he
Bale.
Was way better than Christian Bale. Christian Bale, the thing with him is I love The Dark Knight, but I feel like he wasn't the right Batman. You know, his voice was really off-putting and things like
Well,
that.
when he
but
became
like,
Batman with the whole deep voice.
and I feel like the action in those movies didn't really demonstrate, like, the, fist fighting action
Yeah.
didn't really demonstrate, like, Batman that well. But, like, in this movie, it's clearly demonstrated that he is a good fighter, and on top of that, his characteristics as Batman are, like, perfect. But with,
As a phone
with
rings.
Bruce Wayne, however, my thoughts on him as being Bruce Wayne are a bit different. I feel like he wasn't as good of a Bruce Wayne as Christian Bale. Because the thing with him is they're supposed to be two, like, separate characters.
Yes.
They were really, really similar in this movie. This Bruce Wayne, it makes sense why he is the way he is, but I feel like they should have made him more of a philanthropist. They should have made him, like, more of, like, a,
Tony Stark.
Tony Stark,
Okay.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne's meant to be more like Tony Stark, and Batman's meant to be very dark, brooding, and serious. And I feel like they kind of were too similar in this.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I just think it's more realistic to have Batman isolated like that, like the way he, as Bruce Wayne, isolated like that, because he obviously needs to get his rest. He's constantly spending the nights out, bam bam with criminals, but that means he has like no time to be Bruce Wayne.
There weren't as many funny one-liners in this one. Like in The Dark Knight,
That's
you know,
why I liked
in The
it.
Dark Knight, he was like, when he's fighting the Joker, you know how I got these scores? No, but I know how you got these. Like there was no kind of, there was not that. This was not kind of a movie like that where it was like
Yeah, it was a lot darker.
much darker.
And I
And The
think,
Dark Knight, upon its release in 2008, was considered a dark film.
And it was
Even
made
Batman
like a joke.
'89 was considered a dark film for its time. Now, 30 plus years later, it's not considered a dark film, but it's all against what's been judged upon, what's been out. Because prior to 1989, what was everybody thought Batman? They thought the 1960s television show, right, with Adam West.
Yes.
So a darker film with Jack Nicholson and murder. Now 30 years later, we've got the Dark Knight, we've got the Batman, all these other franchises. Now so the levels have changed and the perspectives of these movies and these characters have changed immensely. Even going back to 2008, I know for you guys is a long time ago, but in film history, that's not that long ago. It's really not. So to see the characters change and the views of how these have changed over the last 12 years plus is quite interesting. Anybody else with any
I
takes?
have a little bit more to say.
Please.
So,
We want to
I
spread the wealth, though.
really like that this Batman goes through like a character arc, where he thinks that his father's this infallible being that was such a good man, and he went through a character arc where he found out that his father is not as good of a person as
Our
he
guest
thought
stars there, Funko Pop dolls.
This is gonna happen a lot.
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
Like this is gonna happen a
he.
lot.
He finds out his father wasn't as great of a
Wasn't
man as
an
he
honest
thought he
citizen
was.
as he
He's
thought he
not an
was.
honest. He was a good person who did some screwed up things.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was really, it woke him up. But he went from being this agent of vengeance who mercilessly beat villains and criminals just brutally to an actual hero by the end of the movie, helping save people.
Yes. But there was, but his reasoning for doing that was to protect what? His mother, his wife, because of the mental issues, and she was in Arkham and everything, and that was the justification for doing that, was to protect the family.
And I'm not saying that his father was a bad person, but he found out his father was involved with some very shady things,
Yeah.
including the Falcone crime family,
Falcones.
which basically in this movie runs the entire city. They're responsible for like everything.
Yeah, they run the police, they run
They
they
are-
run
in a
everything.
typical mob storyline, mafia mob movies have a lot of controlling interest and are influential in police and all corners of the world. So, but this is actually obviously times 10 in this film.
Carmine Falcone is the driving force for every single thing that happens in this movie and every plot.
Yeah, and
It all goes back to him.
he actually might have been my favorite character. I mean, obviously, I just love his role in this film because he was the guy that portrayed him did it perfectly.
He did.
John Turturro.
Yes.
And I strongly suggest checking out other things by him because he portrays the mafia role to a T in
And
this
you just
film.
see Transformers.
As soon as I saw him, I said, without even knowing who he was, I said, he is the boss of something. I'm sure
Yeah,
enough,
and it turns out to be the boss of everything.
he was the boss of everything. Anybody else with some feedback?
You know,
Things
I
come
have
to
to say,
mind. Go ahead, Jalen.
a lot of people have been saying that they were angry that Jeffrey Wright was cast as Commissioner Gordon, but I feel like it was perfect for him.
I agree.
It was
That's the best
perfect for
Gordon.
the movie.
He was a very
For me, he was my favorite character simply because he brought the character to life.
Yes.
In a lot of like the Batman films and series that have been out in this world, which are a lot.
Yes,
Like,
there are a
so
lot.
many.
He
Um,
did Gordon.
Yeah.
But Commissioner Gordon always has a pretty good, decent-sized role in all the Batman films.
Yeah.
This one.
But this
was-
one, I think,
This
he,
one stood out
he
because-
can basically be the second
Yeah,
build.
he is the second. He is the main, or the other main character
the second-
alongside with
yeah.
Batman.
He's the second build guy, too, in terms of the build.
It's a detective movie with Batman and Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah.
He's like Batman's sidekick.
Yeah. Jalen, you had more?
I also have Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman was like excellent.
Yes.
I love
This is
Excellent.
also the
It
best
was
portrayal
great.
of Catwoman. I
It
believe.
was like shocking to see that like she was the daughter of Carmine Falcone. which was-
Yes. Seeing
was
that,
such a weird,
seeing
like,
that reveal was like, I'm actually his daughter, and
Yeah.
and then there was that scene where he actually, he went to go choke her, and he's choking her
Yeah,
out. He's like,
yeah.
just like your mother, and that was pretty intense.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like weird plot twists that you wouldn't expect, but it was like that kept you on edge.
No. Yeah, it definitely kept you throughout the whole
Yeah.
thing, and you're like, where is this going to turn next? One of the cool things I loved was when she, I guess it was her, right? She put on
Yeah.
almost like,
The ski mask.
Just like-
half ski.
The half-
yeah,
ski
but to look at, and basically Batman was like
Yeah.
seeing everybody who she
Oh, the
was seeing.
Oh, the contact lens.
Contact lenses, yeah.
The contact lenses to see who everybody was. That I thought that was so
That
cool.
was the coolest thing ever.
Because she's in the club and she's eyeing him down and he's reading, okay, this person is this person, that.
Yeah, that's the DA.
That's the
The
DA.
poor man in the bar who got kidnapped by Riddler. I felt so bad for him. He
Let's
really
talk
didn't
about
want to say anything. He wanted to live his life. He got kidnapped.
And he got
in his car.
kidnapped.
Well,
and crashed a funeral.
I also want to say,
Yeah, well,
I want to talk about
yeah.
the Riddler.
I agree.
Well, we can talk about the
Talk
Riddler,
about
but before anybody else want to chime in with anything? Lucas?
Yeah, I want to talk about Alfred.
Ooh.
Oh,
Good,
Alfred,
good
yeah.
point. I talked about this in my own
Alfred.
reaction video. Go ahead, please.
I liked him, but he didn't feel like Alfred.
Not really.
No?
Alfred Pennyworth is supposed to be like the kindly old butler that that can kick your ass.
Yeah,
He's
this-
like,
this
okay.
actor's more Yeah.
I don't think he feels
I-
like Alfred, but I definitely like the way that he feels as a character.
yeah, he's a
Yeah.
good character, but he doesn't feel like Alfred.
I feel like
To
he
me,
doesn't
whenever I
feel
see
like,
him, I just think Gollum, so it's hard for me to think of anything else but that. I wanted him to just start saying, yes, Master Precious.
Yeah. He seemed more like Australian for me than it was like
British.
British.
Because he is.
Yeah,
That's
and, yeah. Then I
That's
was
probably
like,
the role
Ozzy
from
Osbourne.
I liked that
Black
though,
Panther.
where it was like
Yeah.
it was different. 'cause-
That's
and that's why I was looking at him. I was like, why he look
Yeah,
familiar?
Paul.
And I was like, where did the hand? That's where it was, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I mean,
Claw.
Yeah,
Michael
Claw.
Caine, I think set the bars in terms of, the Alfreds, I think, in my opinion. I can't remember the name of the actor from the first Batman trilogy, the 89, the Michael Keaton one. That the old man Alfred, the one we watched here,
Yeah.
he was good. I mean, but I think Michael Caine, still is the number one Alfred.
I think it was the hospital scene for me that got me to really like this Alfred.
First of all, I didn't think he survived. I thought he was gone.
So did I.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna
I
be
thought,
gone too.
he's gone.
I was about to throw like my
Like-
drink, my popcorn, and everything and leave. Just like how'd you? why
Rest
did
in
you kill
peace.
him?
It's like
Why did
what's
you
the
kill
other
Alfred in the
girl's
first
name?
movie?
Like Dory, Dolly.
What?
What was the other girl's
something
name?
like that.
Yeah, it was something.
You
like,
saw the
I
movie
thought
3
that was-
times.
Yeah, you think I'm gonna remember that very insignificant
I would
character?
hope so. You spent 9 hours in the movie theater watching it 3
Yeah,
times.
and even then, that was only like 10 minutes
Oh,
total.
right, Russian girl, right?
No,
Yeah.
that was.
It was the one who picked up
No,
the phone
that's
like,
the girl that
oh
looked
yeah,
for
you're
the
too late.
passport.
Something already happened. It's like,
Oh.
yeah, I forgot what her character's name was.
Yeah, she was like.
Well, so the storyline is like they're looking. Well, one of the storylines is they're looking for the girl, the missing Russian girl who was
Annika.
taken, Annika, because the passport, right? And that becomes a subplot of Catwoman looking for her, right?
Yeah.
Right.
She
So
was gonna-
That's her
Why did
motivation.
why did they even take her? Like, what's the reason?
She
Like, did we just never figure it out?
She found out too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
Oh,
knows
yeah.
too much.
She knows
which is a classic mob storyline.
She knows
If
too
you know
much.
too much, you're gonna get.
Yeah, the
And she
recording
was
from
like,
the
"I'll
phone
say-"
and everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, they just kinda killed
That,
her.
that was interesting scene on the building. Like they're there like multiple times throughout the movie, and the one time when they have Falcone up there, I think, right?
No, that was one of his guys, but that definitely was
Yeah,
not
yeah,
Falcone.
it was-
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
one of his guys. It wasn't actually Falcone, but it was just like a recording. It wasn't even like footage, but it was just an audio recording of what happens to the Russian girl.
Oh,
And it was
yeah.
like, it was
Yes.
disturbing.
Well,
Yeah,
that was
listening
very
to the strangler.
listening
That was
to
well
that.
done.
Listening to that.
That gave me chills
That
all
was
three
that was
times.
pretty
It
chilling.
like broke my heart. It was so.
Hearing that because they're like,
real.
listen. Yeah, that was pretty
And it
chilling.
was like, here's what we're gonna. And they sounded as though they were gonna like help her, and then they just kind of
Yeah.
turned.
That's
The,
how the mob
uh,
works.
I'm just saying, okay,
Yeah.
They're friends
bingo.
until they aren't.
I want to criticize that one scene. How did Catwoman survive that jump?
She's
She's
Catwoman.
Catwoman, man.
I know, but like, where does she jump to? She's not.
She grabbed
She's a
the,
cat. Yeah, you want her to
She
say.
grabbed the
She
wire. It
goes
looked
like
like she just jumped straight off. Like,
No,
No,
there were
she grabbed the
three
wire.
cords holding a.
She said, "I got 9 of these."
platform.
yeah, but she's not actually a cat.
No.
The
Of
long
course
nails
not.
were actually her idea, which I thought was kind of cool.
Like the what?
She doesn't
Like
like the
the long
stupid
nails.
cat powers.
She didn't originally.
I,
have them, like the long
I
nails.
also like the chemistry, not all the chemistry between Bruce and Selena, but I like how they are not on the same wavelength when it comes to their thought processes
Right.
on how to deal with the situation. The way that they both think of how to deal with the Falcone situation, I think is great, but I don't like their very quick romance arc.
Yeah.
You know what I
That was they kind
It
of
kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it kinda
it's
just
like you,
rushed
and then
it.
they both get on their little mopeds and they both go like
They
this.
separate ways.
Yeah.
They were
What
like,
I
oh, hey,
noticed-
you're also a vigilante. Let's
Yeah,
kiss.
let's kick some butt.
Yeah, let's
together.
go. Mwah.
Yeah.
I thought that kiss was kind of funny. But what
And
I
then the-
noticed is that like within their interactions, and I don't know if this is like stereotypical music, but the way that I thought about it was like romantic Italian music in like Rome or something. That was like the music that like kept on playing every time that they would like interact with each other, and that like increased more and more. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is cute. This is nice.
Talk about music, the Ave Maria arc throughout the
Oh.
whole film. I thought that was done so well, Lucas.
Yeah, I noticed that at the mayor's memorial. I
Yes.
was like, oh, it's Ave Maria. It's about Mother Mary. It's like kind of showing how the Riddler thinks of himself as a holy savior of Gotham. And then when he just points it out later in the movie, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not that smart.
Yeah, no, but it was that
Yeah,
was a
he texts me like later that night, or like while he's watching the movie. He's like, "I gotta go."
Okay, so just so I don't forget.
That was so brilliantly used in the film throughout the whole thing, tying a whole theme together in a concept of a film, which is a lot what we strive for when we make films, right? To keep something a theme going through, and that was done to a T, perfect.
I think the conversation we just had perfectly leads into the Riddler.
Yeah,
Go
we
ahead.
definitely need to talk about
I
the
think we
Riddler.
need to
Go
talk
ahead.
about him. I
The
think
Riddler,
this is a
Paul
really
Dano.
good-
Again, if you guys liked him, go check out his other films.
So good.
He's so good. I'm telling you, go watch Love and Mercy.
The screaming was really funny.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
The whole
very,
Paul Dano, instantly. Go ahead,
very
go.
good as the Riddler.
Yeah.
I feel like
Just
it
we
was a
waited.
new
It was too
twist.
long until we saw him. 2 hours is
I kind of liked it.
I honestly, that's not something I minded about
Oh,
this
I
version
feel like
of the
it
Riddler.
fits
No.
the character of the Riddler really well.
Yeah.
If you've ever played the Arkham games, which if you haven't, you should, the Riddler is almost exactly the same. You rarely see him. You rarely see him until you find out all of his riddles,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
reveals himself.
Like,
Yeah.
like in the games, he's not exactly super serious like he is in the movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
the difference between this is he's closer to a very serious psychopath that likes to toy with the Batman specifically.
That's the thing. He's toying
yeah.
with him the entire
See now, look
movie.
at this correlation now. Look at this Riddler, and
You compare it to Jim Carrey's.
Now, but you could now this, which is the same thing as taking Heath Ledger and comparing it to the Jack Nicholson Joker. You see how the
Yeah.
Riddler, the Jim Carrey Riddler, and the Jack Nicholson Joker both have that same kind of like ha ha, like we're bad but we're funny. Whereas Paul Dano and Heath
Very
Ledger are very very darker.
Yeah.
You know that's
I like the story of the Riddler too. like the fact that he was another orphan,
Yeah.
but he didn't get any attention.
That was a cool backstory
Yeah.
about how he he goes, oh, you're an orphan, Bruce,
You get all
and
this
you're in all this
You don't
money.
know what it's
You
like
don't know
to
what
be
an
an
orphan
orphan.
is. You lived in this bed with mommy and daddy's money. I lived up in a true orphanage in a room with 30 people, and I lived in
It
squalor.
made it sound like they were connected, like through childhood, like, because I thought for a few seconds, like, oh, they were in the same orphanage. I was like, wait, no, he's rich. He has money.
Yes,
Yeah.
he owned the orphanage.
He owned the orphanage, but
So
He acted like he was so close to Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne because he always thought of, like, you could tell how he was talking about how he was always up in that high tower
Yeah.
in his so-called castle, his mansion, just sitting there
Yeah, the
with
Wayne
his
estate.
butler and everything all the time, even as an orphan. That's why he felt so close and
Yeah.
connected to him. Also,
that didn't mean that Bruce didn't experience pain.
yeah,
Yeah.
Of course.
and another thing.
It's just different levels, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
He
Bruce
had
ways
nothing,
as well.
Bruce still had everything.
right, but
You were talking about how you didn't like how they didn't show him that much in the movie.
no.
I think that, especially knowing who they casted and how they decided to show him, if they showed him the same way earlier, it would have actually been worse because when they showed him, when that cover came up while he was in the jail, he was just a normal guy.
I mean, the
Yeah.
coffee
You
shop.
would the coffee shop.
Yeah.
But
He was a
just,
nobody.
he was
Right.
a normal
Just trying
guy.
to
He's
get
literally just a
What's his
nobody.
line? I just ordered apple pie.
Yeah, I just ordered pumpkin
You
pie.
Pumpkin pie?
I just had a slice of pumpkin pie.
And if they
You're the
never
best.
if they showed you that so early in the movie, everybody would just have in their mind that this is just a normal guy.
Oh my god.
But
it's the Riddler.
Having the idea that he's someone special and
Yeah,
super important throughout the movie, and then revealing that at the end that he's just a normal guy that was pushed to his limit,
Yeah.
like that's what makes him so special.
And just like one of
Fair
the goons
point.
that he had in the Gotham Square Garden, where it's just another
yeah,
normal
they're just
guy.
all normal
They're
people
all
normal
fighting
people.
for a cause.
And
Yeah.
that was so scary to think about that these people were swayed to the point where it was like, oh, we can.
When
show
that
these
guy
people.
dressed as the Riddler also said, "I'm vengeance, it hit me."
Yeah, because that tells you that
That tells you that
Like,
they all look at themselves the
for-
same way.
Yeah.
for both sides, the movie never really, like, it obviously wants to say that the side that Batman is fighting for is right, but depending on how you think about it, there are ways to think of how the Riddler's side is the right side. Like, there's an argument there.
It's always
There is
perspective.
100%
Always.
an argument
It's not
because
perspective always, yeah.
he's not wrong. Gotham is a horrible place. That is
Terrible.
It's a
demonstrated
mess.
Absolutely. horrible.
many,
Don't
many,
live
many,
there.
many,
Even if
many
they-
times in
don't
this
live
movie
there.
that this place is screwed up.
Which
And that
Messed up.
maybe he's not wrong, that the only way to really change it
It's
is
just
No
to
more
do
lies.
a hard reboot.
And no more lies.
Like, they tried to
no
do
more
this.
lies. I mean, how many times he wanted to just start all over, totally fresh.
Just
That's
completely
man.
sink Gotham. That
They-
was his plan.
They
That
tried
was
to.
scary to
He
think
actually
about.
sank
Like you
Gotham.
actually sank Gotham
He
and
gave
succeeded,
sank-
which is not something you're used to with like the villain.
Yeah, you
actually
don't
No.
normally see the villain winning even after they
At the
lose.
end
Everybody
of
up
the
in
movie,
anger.
Gotham is
That's-
destroyed.
Which is tying on that finish up real quick, and then we're going to tie it into Jared's point.
That's another thing though, right? With the walls, when they blow them up, you would think that there would be something a little bit stronger than
Yeah.
just a small rinky-dinky wall that can be
Well,
blown
that
by not even a direct bomb. It was in a van, and the van
seven.
blew
He had 7
And
vans.
it's-
Yeah, seven
Yeah,
bands.
seven
Seven bands.
bands.
It
rigged to do.
Yeah, the boom
demolished
vans.
the wall.
It did,
Like,
which
I
again, it's the movies. But let's tie it into more kind of along the topics of how Gotham is portrayed in this film. I think a lot of people have been impressed with how Gotham came off in this film.
Yeah.
And how it looks. I think we're all in agreement that it's probably the coolest looking Gotham
Yeah.
we've seen in a Batman franchise to date. Especially we could tie more into the cinematography now of this film. Those aerial shots. I mean,
Yeah.
and I talked about
It's,
this in my reaction.
it's horrifyingly beautiful.
It really is. Those overhead shots of the bridges and seeing Gotham, and really
It's so tall that it makes an underground city under
those
the
shots when
like,
it's
city.
flying through and you're seeing the buildings panning up. I mean, things like that.
There were all
Batmobile chase scene
the
was
chase-
so
the
strong.
chase
Yeah, the
scene-
Batmobile chase scene was
The
amazing.
chase scene was probably one of the best scenes in the whole film.
I have to say, imagine you're going home from like a restaurant with your family, right? And you're just enjoying yourself. You see some giant black car covered in fire going past you.
Like a fireball.
Chasing another car.
Yeah.
And you just see
We didn't
something
talk
blow
about
up in the
Penguins.
distance.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the Penguin.
Oh, we haven't talked about the
I
Penguin
like
yet.
how they.
Well,
had
'cause I just think he was
like,
underused.
He was underused, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
I know
Now I
he's
knew.
getting his own TV
Okay.
show.
Now I knew he was the Penguin, but
Yeah.
at one point they weren't like Penguin. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you knew it was a penguin. The guy's the shape of his face
Because his
and everything.
nickname was the Penguin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, Amaz.
Right.
But they call me the Penguin.
Yeah, we just call him Oz basically the whole movie.
Yeah.
Right, but if you're kind of watching this from a novice perspective, you just think he might be a mob, just another part of
Just
a mob
another mob,
associate.
Yeah.
But it really is, he's the Penguin. And if you obviously look at his face, you can see that, but again, you have to know the timeline and the arc of the character.
I have a feeling that they underused his character intentionally so
Yeah.
they could make the Penguin TV show.
Right. So let's take it towards the end now, the end of the film. Where do we see potential sequels?
Oh, 100%.
In
They're
this.
already working on it.
We do.
Let's talk about the
Yeah.
scene I wasn't crazy about.
Let's talk about it, because we are running out of time.
The Joker.
Oh.
Oh, the end.
That-
Okay, now, I did not realize that was the Joker. I just thought it was a guy in a jail cell.
So did I.
Yeah.
It is
Well, you
confirmed.
saw the shadow of his-
Yeah, it is confirmed that the unnamed
The
Arkham
director
prisoner at the
has
end is the Joker.
confirmed. It
Black
is
Panther and Black
the
Panther.
Joker.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go with a Joker, a Joker movie
We're
next?
getting that
It's
Joker
probably the
next.
Joker and the Riddler because he does say Gotham always likes a comeback story.
Yes.
I really hope that they could. I feel like there's a lot of room to possibly mess this up though with the second movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
No, this definitely stands
Why?
better
It's
as
so
a
scary.
standalone
They're
Batman.
literally walking through a minefield because like if they just randomly had this character in a cell, and what are they going to do? Just have him blow out of jail and just wreak havoc? Like how are they going to introduce him? There's so many things.
Well,
that
they're
need to
very
think
good at
about.
doing that. And
They
kinda-
are,
they're
but they
good
need
at
to
doing
think
that.
about it like a lot.
I
They
feel
just need
like
to sit
it's
down and just go over what they're going to do.
Extremely. Okay. I feel like the scene was definitely shoehorned in. It did not need to be there.
Yeah. For
But-
it to be at the end, right?
It would have been better.
It
as
could have been
after-credits
yeah,
scene.
it could have been an after credits
Not
scene, yeah.
only that, I also feel like the next movie is going to very heavily rely on this Joker's interpretation.
Yeah.
If the Joker does not fit the Batman,
It could mess it.
it could mess
Mm.
everything.
Because
Well, because look at the standards now. Okay, look at all the
He has a
Jokers.
hell of a lot of competition.
Yeah.
Look at the standards. Joaquin Phoenix,
Yeah,
Heath Ledger.
especially with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker being in such recent memory, it's going to be
2019.
compared.
It's going to be compared.
It's
Heath
going
Ledger
to be.
too.
And Heath Ledger. So
I think
the Joker standards are quite tall.
even like the Joker from the games, Mark
And the
Hamill.
animated.
Yeah.
The animated
Hamill.
Mark Hamill, which is
My
also very good.
personal
I actually saw that in the movie theater too.
Yes, my personal favorite Joker is Mark Hamill.
You like
Heath
him?
Ledger is my second
Okay.
favorite. But this Joker has to be good for the next movie to be good. If it doesn't fit the story, it's going to
If you
really
have
hurt it.
if you have a Batman movie with the Joker in it, the Joker needs to be just as good, if not better, than the Batman.
Yeah.
I feel like
It's gonna be hard to be better than this Batman.
It's gonna be hard to try and make those like scars like presentable on the screen because and obviously that has to be animated because they got like half of his cheek gone.
Yeah.
His cheek's literally like gone. And trying to animate that, especially if he's moving fast or anything, that's gonna be difficult.
I don't
to make
know
look
if
good.
I don't know if anybody has actually done this, but the Rada Alada website that they go to in the movie,
Oh,
that's a real
it's
website.
a Is it?
I was gonna say.
I
That's
was
a real
wondering
website.
about
They have
that.
like comic
They
books.
revealed
Yeah,
they
so
might be
comic
like
books.
hinting at the next sequel because they might
Yeah.
just do like shows with the
They revealed a
Joker.
Riddler
And the
comic
next
book.
movie might be about Two-Face.
That was so cool when he went to that website. And
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a real website. It's
So,
the
like-
quote unquote post credit
like
scene of the
a lot
movie.
of
It just says
different
goodbye and then it
issues that
flashes
they're
the link to
hinting
Rada
at.
Alada.
Oh, and
Have
Two-Face
something
was
to
a
do
little-
with Two-Face.
I think that Hush was there too.
So
I
all
actually
that
thought
website
that
has
was
is it
Hush.
announces the Riddler comic
'cause it also
and
makes a reference
it
to
shows
Hush,
the
right.
documents that Riddler
Yeah.
has on his
Yeah.
walls. And one of the major ones that was added was Gotham loves a comeback story.
Yeah.
Right. All right, so let's wrap up our conversation as we're running out of time. We're going to go around with everybody and we're going to give a final rating on a scale of 1 to 10 what you're going to rate the Batman as released in 2022. Sebastian, on a scale of 1 to 10.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Will Irwin.
Probably also 9 out of 10. Just too long.
9 out of 10 was too long. Lucas.
10 out of 10. Loved it.
10 out of 10. Jalen.
I'm gonna say a 9.5. Same thing. It was kind of long.
Lauren.
7.5.
7.5.
Not the best, but at the same time, I'm not big on superheroes, so like that might
That's
play
fair.
a role.
Yeah, that's
For somebody that's not big on superheroes.
Okay. Frank.
What's funny is I've seen it 3 times and you're all going to give it higher ratings than me. I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm giving it a 9.5.
9.5.
If it weren't for the Joker scene, I would have given it a 10.
Okay.
What do you mean by if it weren't for that?
He thought that
If it wasn't in the movie, I would have given it a 10.
Or if it was like an
didn't
after
need to
credit.
be.
Why?
It was excessive.
Because
and
also,
it increased the
That
rating.
scene locks them in like super, like they kind of trapped themselves with that scene. Because now they have to have
They
in
have
the
to do
next
it.
movie.
They
Yeah.
have to
It's
figure out a way
expected.
to like maneuver themselves around that because
They're gonna have to.
Because people assumed that it was Two-Face just by his face being.
Yeah, I assumed it was Two-Face.
I knew it.
And
It
everyone
had
was
to
like,
be
"Oh my God, it's Two-Face!" And then they heard the laugh. Was like, "Oh no, it's Joker."
Yeah, that
You
laugh
remember
was
it's
really
clowns
cute.
and stuff
It
too.
depends on like what they do with that, how they maneuver through that.
Yeah, my thought process going into that was Two-Face. He was going to turn the Riddler into the Joker. Because he already had a very psychotic mindset,
Oh.
and he was also very intelligent as well. So I thought he was going to turn Paul Dano into the Joker somehow.
I don't
with
think
Two-Face also
that
being another
fits
villain.
Two-Face
But no,
out.
Yeah. It
Look,
really depends.
This Riddler is also very different compared
Yeah.
to the Riddler in general. So who
And that's
even
what
knows
makes
what
him
fits
so
what?
perfect.
Who knows what fits what anymore?
Two-Face.
We can continue this conversation the next time. We are out of time for today as it is the end of class. So thank you for watching our first TV2 Roundtable reaction to films. We will do more installments of this, whether it's films or TV shows. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time. Peace out.
Bye.